Alright, my mind is in pieces, utterly shattered by poor health decisions, worsening mental illness, and just general misfortunate events in life. Things are getting harder and harder to enjoy, and it's time to go figure out what we can do about this, how I can fix this. And I can't think of a better medium to fix it than Lego, and I feel like everyone should take that life advice. But if we're going to go on a journey across all these LEGO games, and inside of my broken psyche by extension, we need a vessel. And this vessel, which I will dub the Search for Joy you're seeing on screen right now, will be what takes us through these LEGO games. Emmett on the left represents fear, with a whip to keep bad thoughts at a distance and stay away from commitment. Smash and whip unfortunate feelings down. The javelin at the front is to pierce through general obstacles, let's say, and it's a bit dulled, but we're still going to use it anyway. It's a bit rounded. The eye is so that way I can actually see what's coming ahead. That's very important. General Sweet Mayhem back there is my optimism and determination. Very crucial to the vessel. And on the right we have Rex Raptor, but his head is a raptor instead of an actual head. Alright, here we go. Since the first and most obvious step would be discovery of what's going on inside of us, we're gonna go with Pirates of the Caribbean, which is the LEGO game that I think most represents discovery and digging. Can't think of a LEGO game with more digging than that. First thing to note about LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean is that unless you've seen the films, it's going to be nigh impossible to make sense of the plot, especially the later films' plots, because things do get very complicated, very anime. And I think this is a good life lesson, also. Some of us have experiences that others do not, and those experiences often give us leverage, give us a greater understanding of what's happening than others. And that's important to keep in mind, because not everyone knows the same things we do. And should try to keep that in mind when discussing things with other people. Being in advantageous situations, knowing things that other people do not know, it is a kind of privilege, and it's probably best to keep that in mind and try to be fair when discussing things with others. Something I find about this fight with Jack Sparrow is that the game is really putting its best foot forward in terms of presentation. This fight might not be the height of set pieces on this game, but there's a lot of jumping around, a lot of interesting looking swordplay. You can see the combat is fluid, has a lot of finesse to it, even though you're just button mashing. So even though the mechanics in the combat don't exactly have a lot of depth to them, in fact they arguably have less depth than LEGO Batman's mechanics, which aren't exactly all that interesting. The fact that LEGO Pirates presents itself with flair makes it look and feel better than games with more depth. And I think that's also something to keep in mind when conversing with others, is that how you say and not just what you say is very important. There's something that I've learned that may not be very comfortable to talk about, but seems to be the case fairly consistently, is that kindness is rewarded with kindness. You get things in return for being kind. People say being kindness is its own reward, but being kind generally gets you better things in life, better friends, better relationships, longer lasting relationships, healthier support network. Sometimes you need a favor that needs called in, but I don't think this is necessarily a greedy or bad thing, and a lot of people benefit from this even if they don't know about it or acknowledge it. So this discovery probably isn't too important unless someone is questioning the value of kindness from a consequentialist standpoint, in which case this is a very valid point to bring up, I would think. I forgot to mention that that the Lego vessel I built was made out of pieces from the Lego Movie Maker set and Emmett's Thricycle. Jack wanders around not really sure what he's doing and then quickly realizes what he was supposed to be doing this whole time, but he still gets on it. You know, he realizes he made a mistake and he still does it. Maybe he didn't realize he needed to turn the crank at first, but he still makes good on it. This rolling barrel thing comes up a lot. A lot of the LEGO games can be boiled down to exploring to find what you need to proceed, but the exploring aspect is much stronger in LEGO Pirates, presumably because of the pirate theme, and I think that helps a lot. One of the biggest exploration mechanics is the inclusion of Jack's compass, which can be used to magically locate items of interest. But not every item of interest can be magically located using Jack's compass. Some of the exploring just has to be done by actually exploring. There's no getting around that. There's not a lot of combat in this game, which is good, because combat is not really an important facet to exploring. You just, hit the dog. It was an accident, but the dog seems to understand it was an accident and offers forgiveness. I try to offer forgiveness whenever it's applicable. I don't like getting shot at while I'm looking for secret treasure, though. That's kind of hard to forgive, especially if they keep shooting after the first shot. If they shot once, you know, I'd be like, no harm done, but they shot me like twice, and I feel like that's very deliberate. You'd have to try very hard to convince me that shooting me point blank 2 times was not an act of malice, but 1 time I can take that. Alright, so with the help of our dog friend, we get some very basic 3D platforming that's still very easy to mess up, because you don't snap to the platforms, you have to actually land on them, and they are very small platforms. But if we succeed, we get a mini-kit. There are 10 mini-kits in each level, and if we get all the mini-kits, we get gold bricks. And if we get all the gold bricks, we get a bonus level. Putting all the ships together will also get us a gold brick. Sorry, a mini-kit. I didn't mean to say gold brick. You get a gold brick for 10 mini-kits, not 1 mini-kit. Some of the treasure is just goofy, like this hat. This hat doesn't do anything, but you can wear a lot of funny hats. And sometimes you need humor to liven things up. I often do that, often insert humor into situations just to make sure people realize that humor is a coping mechanism, you know? Something I learned a long time ago. Humor is a way to cope with pain. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is wrong to assume that because someone is laughing, they're not in pain. Because usually people that make the most jokes do have some sort of pain they're trying to either protect other people from or protect themselves from. Though in rare situations, I've also seen humor used to deliberately harm other people by mocking someone and making their pain seem humorful when they don't want that. You can really do some severe psychological damage. And I would know as I'm just overflowing with psychological damage. I'm just full to the brim with psychological damage. It's just all over the fucking place up in here. Oh, I lost my hat. You know, sometimes you lose important things. But I'm sure if we went back to look for the hat again, we could get it. We just not might be able to take it to the next area. I can't think of a way to tie that into real life. So you're just going to have to suck that one up. Sometimes sucking things up is an important part of life. There's another mini-kit. Some of the mini-kits you can get without coming back in free play later. Some of the mini-kits you need to come back in free play because you don't have the right tools. And, you know, a lot of the times I don't have the right tools to deal with things in life the first time around. And I really wish I could go back later and redo it. At least LEGO lets me go back later and redo things I fucked up. The best part is LEGO doesn't even erase the mistakes you made. The mistakes are still there. The scars of what you've done are still there. But when you go back, you can do things better still. Yeah, the old mistakes are still there and you can still see where you goofed up. But you still have the opportunity to make things better with your new knowledge. Alright, let's get the fuck out of here. Alright, so Jack Sparrow, being a savvy person, understands that if you're going to go on a long adventure, you need a support network, whether the adventure is inside of you or external. Jack Sparrow also understands that if someone is invincible, there is harmless fun in shooting them in the face with the cannon. See, he's fine. No harm done. Sometimes you also need to shoot a cannon at doors if the support network is behind a door, because everyone needs a support network, and if the support network is behind a sturdy door, you just gotta fucking break that door down. I would say everyone needs a support network, but there are probably some people that don't. It really depends on your personality and, you know, your psychological needs and all that shit, but a lot of people need a support network. It's one of the most common things that comes up when discussing It's one of the most common things that comes up when discussing psychology and therapy. Again, we do a kindness, and we're rewarded for it by the horse getting out of the way. I mean, we have to move it out of the way ourselves, but still. And you know, support networks, they go both ways. If someone is part of your support network, you're probably part of theirs, and you've got to be ready to help them too. That's got to be something you're ready for. You can't just depend on them to help you. You have to be willing to help them. Now granted, sometimes they might not want help, but it can never hurt to ask. Also, not everyone in your support network is going to be capable of giving you everything you need. That's why it's a network, and not just, like, a support of one person. One person does not make a team. Two people can make a team, but, you know, sometimes you need more than two people. Unless both parties just happen to be exactly what they need and don't need anyone else. These are all fairly surface-level things I'm discovering about myself. Things I'm pretty sure I already knew, but it's good to go over them. See if there's anything wrong or something that may need fixed up. Fix up some gears and make them turn better. Something exploded over there, but we're not going to pay attention to that. It's also important when looking at self-discovery that you acknowledge when you have positive traits. Like, I'm fairly certain there are some positive things about my character, even if I think much of my character is largely negative now. But I could be mistaken about that. It really depends. We'll see where this whole discovery thing goes. And it may be looked down upon sometimes to go for the easy truths first, to find the easy things first and tackle them. But it's just a way to become comfortable. It's just a way to get used to how things are, so that way you can tackle the harder problems. Of course, it is possible to never tackle the harder problems, but I'm already running out of surface-level things to discover about myself, so I'm gonna have to do some uncomfortable things shortly anyway. Alright, here's Marty. Marty is capable of crawling through small ducts and blowing up silver Lego blocks. Blowing up silver Lego blocks is a very rare ability. There are only like 3 characters in the game with the ability to destroy silver Lego blocks, and Marty is also probably the most powerful combatant in the game, because his gun just has absurd splash damage. Very useful to have around. So, I believe there is an instrument here that we don't need, but we can play some lively music with it to make the situation a bit more lighthearted. You know, lightening things up in the middle of introspection, in the middle of deep thought, deep cleaning of your brain, it's kind of necessary. Can't be all doom and gloom and all this is super serious business all the time. Sometimes you need to take a break and rock out. And then when you're done rocking out, you'll be ready. You'll be more prepared. You'll be rested. And then you can tackle things that aren't always simple. Because not everything about life is simple, or has simple solutions, or simple advice, or can be simply analyzed in a few sentences with parallels drawn to Lego video games. Like, maybe you have problems you don't fully understand, and you need a way to get to those problems, to comprehend what they're about. Hold on. Here's your gem. Now please use your enhanced agility to pull down those shutters, which will stop other pirates from coming into the room for reasons I'm not entirely sure. You feel like they could just bust through the shutters, but maybe those shutters are really hard. They are made of Lego. But, like, you know, maybe there are things that you're suffering that you don't understand. You don't get why they're that way. But there are explanations out there, and you just need to look for them. You just need to dig. You need to find. You need to explore for them. Like, you know, maybe you don't understand how you can have a mental illness or what that even is, but then you realize that the mind is an organ. It's a part of your body. The mind is a part of our biology. Psychology is biology. And all parts of our body are suspect of failure. That includes the mind. The mind is an organ, and as such can fail and be damaged as any other organ can. Reasons for things may not always be comfortable or flowery, but finding those reasons makes it easier to figure out how you can cope with what's going on and how you can start to heal from it. And even if you can't heal from it, it may make it easier to accept. In this room there's a parrot, and the parrot's really pissed at people, so we're just gonna straight up kill the people that are bothering the parrot, even though the parrot is the one being aggressive in the situation. I mean, I guess we're not the good guys, to be perfectly fair. Like, the parrot's just getting pissed at people, flying over to them and harassing them, and then we need to kill the people that the parrot dislikes. We're probably not very good people, but I don't think we ever said we were. We got a job to do here. But yeah, you know, when you accept that, just like everything else on your body, your mind has a chance to fail, and that's probably why you have these mental disorders, you can start to focus on what's actually important. How do these mental disorders affect my life? How can I minimize the pain they cause? And how can I form a support network that will be willing to help me? Because not everyone will have the same understanding of yourself that you do, and not everyone will be as kind as everyone else. We missed a mini kit over here that we can still get because Jack still has the shovel from when we went underground, and I really want to grab that before we leave. Just because it'll be a little less work for later. Likewise, if there's trash lying around in your room, just like a single piece of trash, and you don't feel like cleaning the whole room right now, pick up that single piece of trash. It'll be less work for you later. It's a free life tip. Alright, so we've done the most basic digging. We've got our support network. It's time to head off for the hard stuff. It's time to get into the nitty-gritty, go on the actual adventure. May not be pleasant, may be a bit of a bumpy ride, but it's something that needs done. We can't just give up now that we're ready. As ready as we'll ever be, at least. Which is to say, we're not ready, but we're going to do it anyway.